One of these days I'll get it right. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Keefe. Oh my goodness, what a day. It is Keefe of GhostCultMag.com. Thanks for joining me for the weekly ritual, GhostCultMag.com's weekly rock and metal news live stream everywhere on the web. I'm hanging out on TikTok. We finally got Instagram back yesterday. I'm super stoked. PMOTD Paris is here. Young Boy Nate, Rocky OL, Volume Rocks. We got some people chiming in suddenly on the Tick of the Talk. Man, what a day. I was supposed to be home at 4 p.m. Pacific to do the show at 5, and then I just got completely body slammed by all the things. Body slammed by trains, planes, and automobiles, but no planes. If you've been watching this week, I was cat sitting, so I wasn't home. I'm home now. I'm supposed to scoot out of here later, so let's get through the show and do the damn thing. Thanks for being here. As I say all the time, you could be watching anywhere else, but you're hanging out with us, so I appreciate you. And we're back. Hey, somebody's here. Let's see who's in the comments. Dillinger has arrived. It's not the wee hours. I know. I didn't go on super late last night. I'm still later than I wanted to be. I'm supposed to be somewhere else right now. I came home, reset up the studio, technical problems with other things, and now I got the show going, but after I do this, out again. So I'm a little exasperated. I'm going to sip of my Liquid Death. When these are gone, I'm not drinking Liquid Death anymore, so I try to buy them up when I can. But thanks for being here, Dillinger, and thanks for everybody else. We're going to be having a lot of fun today because there is some crazy shit going on. Death Rattles here. What up, y'all? Band I've been following for a very long time. Just really quick, as you know, we gladly accept tips. I'm going to bust in the deck here in the top right-hand corner. My right, your left. And as you know, we start with the announcements. And it's I think it's been a kind of tough week, a lot. Tony Lima is here. What's up, Tony? Liquid Death. Death Rattle asked, why stop drinking Liquid Death? Well, I love Liquid Death, and I'll probably still drink the water and the plain sparkly. I don't like stevia. I don't like the taste of stevia. I've been very open about my health problems here on the show, battling diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. My blood pressure numbers are actually under control with meds now, but still kind of watching my sugars and my weight. Lost 10 pounds since the start of the year, and Liquid Death changed their formula. So number one, they're getting rid of the tall boys for whatever reason. Economics, probably shrinkflation, right? And then they switched from agave nectar in all the sparkling to stevia, which I fucking hate. And I tried some of the ones with stevia, and I do not like it. So you can still go to like Dollar Tree and Dollar General and supermarkets around the country and still get these tall boys. But when they're gone, I'm probably going to just go to the plain water and the plain seltzer, which is fine. I found a treasure trove of these, though, while I was out of town this week. So here, I will embiggen the screen. Cold water, yeah, little water enhancer. I hear that. One of the best words of 2025 is the word enshitification. And, yeah, for real. Just a reminder, we just hit 1.4 million views on YouTube. No little feat. We're almost to 6,000 subs on YouTube. So if you want to help us get over that hump, if you're not subscribed, chances are you're not. Please give us a follow. We work really hard on this stuff. We create videos. I do a lot of live streams, but we also create a lot of content. I interview bands. We do music news every day. And, social media is kind of a shit show if you're not a huge creator like Mr. Beast or something. So I'm not lamenting what I do because I love being here and I love all y'all. But if you can help us, that would be helpful. This is a tough one. It's the 1-year anniversary of the passing of our colleague and my friend Rick Triana. I have been very also open, Death Rattle, about my struggles with mental health. If you're out there and you're having a hard time, it does get better. I saw the Harley Flanagan Cro-Mags documentary recently. Hey, Dillinger, thanks so much, man. I appreciate the support, bro. But you're a real one. You're a regular. I appreciate it, though. We do accept super chats, super thanks, and super likes. I'll do the tip menu in a few. But Rick was great. He was a very early ghost cultist out of Arizona. And he went on Shiprock for us. He covered a bunch of shows. He was an incredible photographer. He loved progressive rock and progressive metal and classic heavy metal. And he was just such a sweetheart of a dude. And I'm very sad that he lost his life. If you're out there and you're struggling, our DMs are always open. And you are not alone. And Harley said something really cool in person at his Q&A. I gave him like a little New York hand jive, what's up? And I met him and his wife, and I hope to interview Harley again soon about the documentary. But he was talking about his friend Anthony Bourdain, and he was like, Anthony Bourdain didn't necessarily just take his own life. He died of a broken heart because he didn't see a way forward. And if you just hold out a little bit longer, it does get better. So I say the same thing to all of you. If you're having a hard time, hit up a friend, hit up someone, hit up me, hit up Omar, hit up anybody who works at Ghost Cult, and they will direct you to me or help you personally. I mean that. This is another one. This kind of took me by surprise. Frank Castro grew up with me in Parkside Projects in New York City, in the Bronx, New York. And we had not been in touch for a few years. Maybe occasionally we exchanged a few messages. But he was a super creative artist and just a really honestly like a hood genius. And he was about my age, maybe a little bit older. There was always like these different caste systems of kids in my group. There was like my older brother's age group that was 10 years older than me, Frank's age group, and a whole crew of people that age, and then my age group. So Frank, he even supported by bands because he was close friends with my former guitar player. So like he used to pop up at my shows and be like, I remember you used to play with your G.I. Joes on the rocks, and now, here you are rocking out. So he was really supportive and nice. And I don't know what he passed away from, but I was just very sad to hear this news because it's a dude I grew up with, and even if you weren't close, respect, for the friendship and the camaraderie and the support when he gave it. So, wherever you are, Frank, I'm sure you're airbrushing or, graffitiing or creating some crazy monster makeup or something somewhere. Oh, Master Saz Band is here. Biomechanic 83 is here. Ciardine is back. What up? What up? Good to see you. This is another one. This just got sent to me right before the show. Brian Mitz Daniels, you know him from all the hardcore bands he's been in, including his time in Madball. He just learned of the passing of Matt Keel of Comeback Kid. Comeback Kid's a band we've interviewed and covered a lot here at Ghost Cult all around the world, and sad to hear of Matt's passing. There was a few celebrity deaths this week also. Maybe a little more local for Ghost Cult being in the Bay Area, but Yoshi's is a world-renowned jazz club in Jack London Square, Oakland, and the original co-owner Yoshi, pictured here, died this week at age 82. So cheers and thanks for all the good music and the good vibes. He put down a legendary place there. Also, this came up today. Also, Nate Garrett, you know him from Spirit Adrift and Neon Nightmare, and he used to be a Gate Creeper, and his wife has been diagnosed with stomach cancer. So there's a GoFundMe that Nate started. Spirit Adrift has suspended all their touring for the summer. They were supposed to go to Europe. There's work going on the upcoming Spirit Adrift album. Nate says he's going to sell off all his gear that is not otherwise needed for this new album. Anything he can do to help her. They have raised up some money already, but he's going to not be touring. He's not going to be making an album too soon, and needs help. Needs help from needs help raising money for her care. So rough stuff. We've interviewed Nate, big fan. Anything you can do helps. So the link, we have the post on our site. It went up today. Costlands is here. Jen is here. Tony Tick Toxic is here. That's a cool name. You got a cool screen name. I'm going to give you a shout out. Minea123 is here. Also, Geezer Butler celebrated a birthday today. Here's a picture of him and his wife a few years ago at an event in the before times. Obviously, we got a lot of Black Sabbath stuff to talk about tonight and ongoing. But yeah, Geezer, one of my original bass guitar heroes, and the main lyricist of Black Sabbath's best work in the 70s. So interesting stuff. Celebrating album anniversaries in the last 7 days. This one is an absolute banger that did not leave my CD changer for many, many, many years. Darkest Hour, Deliver Us. This is artwork by John Baisley of Baroness, his distinctive painting style. Also celebrating 25 years of Judas Priest Demolition. This is the last album they did with Ripper before Rob Halford came back. Blood Red Throne has an album anniversary this week. Killer stuff. Yep. I know. We're going to talk about it in a second. I'm going to talk about it. I appreciate you bringing that up, Dillinger. I'll bust this comment back in a second. So yeah, Blood Red Throne, Overkill, one of my favorite records, WFO. Fatal, you're shitting me. Who doesn't love a Bobby Blitz impersonation, y'all? I sure do. But yeah, Overkill's got an anniversary. This is a pretty, like, one of the 9 million Paradise Lost albums. Chains of God. This is a great record from the Gothic Metal Masters. Running joke on my other podcast about how many albums Paradise Lost has sometimes put out in a decade. August Burns Red, the classic Constellations metalcore, positive metalcore, upbeat metalcore, not depressed metalcore. I think they performed this entire album on tour a couple of years ago. But yeah. What else is celebrating an album anniversary? 3750 by the Acacia Strain. New Acacia Strain video and single out now. New album coming soon, but this is a banger. I love this band. I followed them extensively when I lived in Boston and beyond. Just Me is here. We got all the everydayers are popping in. Dillinger, Just Me, everybody. Love me some Acacia Strain. All good. Suicide Silence, You Can't Stop Me. This was the first record after Mitch Lucker died with Eddie Hermedia from Also Perish. Pretty solid record, honestly. Violence, Oppressing the Masses, 35 years old this year. This is a tape I had in high school. Holy shit. What a great album. It was super cool to see this live. I've now seen Violence play both Oppressing the Masses and Eternal Nightmare live. More Violence dates coming soon. Motley Crue's one good album where you don't have to hear that fucking fuckface guy. Motley Crue New Tattoo. Pretty great record. Grim Reaper, See You in Hell, My Friend. I used to hate this band because this song got so overplayed and they had other good songs, but this shit really grated on me. But now that Steve Grimmett has died, I have a new appreciation of it. And a friend of mine that does karaoke with me, he sings See You in Hell. Note for note, by the way. Shout out to Steven at the Willows. Strapping Young Lads, The New Black. What a phenomenal record this was. Industrial metal and so like death metal and crazy chaotic shit. You and I, we're wearing the same shirt? Hot. I love it, man. I love this. I have many Misfit shirts. This is my favorite. Thanks so much. Just Me. All That Remains. This is like their last album that I like, The Fall of Ideals. I've not liked this band in a long time. Would love to see them get back to it. I know they kind of were trying to like tread on that ground in their last album, but I just don't know. Let's see. Yeah, so here's the tip menu real quick, and then I'll get back to your question there, Dillinger. Here's our live stream tip menu. The best place to do this, again, we do accept super chats and super likes on YouTube, but feel free to tip us in the comments. You can give us a tip on Ko-fi, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, whatever you like. We accept. This is hard work, man. I'm not mad at my station in life, but there's a lot of hard work here. And if you have a band or a brand or a music-related business, I am I might be certifiable, but I'm actually a marketing expert where I can help you with especially with your social media and your email marketing. So holla at your boy. Tip generously and all the time. Just the tip. Here's our Cash App if you want to pause the video or come back to it later and shoot us a dollar or something. Dylan Scott, Gree is here. Storm Chaser D is here. Feather and Bone, hello, hello. Good to see you. Everybody go follow my friend Feather and Bone. Unless you're soft. Oh, dude, I need a repress of Oppressing the Masses so bad. I have Eternal Nightmare. It's like one of the few old school vinyls that I have. Is a Eternal Nightmare copy that I got. Time for some features, and now before I jump into the features, I'm gonna go answer your question. So I know Beato literally posted this video today. Beato, Adam Reeder, Justin Hawkins of The Darkness are furious at major labels for these copyright strikes. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. I don't love reactions in the first place. They didn't really do much for us, but I started to do them and we would just get pummeled with the copyright strikes. And I don't want to lose my channel that Omar and I spent 13 years building, especially the last 8 going super hardcore. So, it took us a long time to even get monetized, Dillinger. So, yeah, man. There used to be 20, let's say 20 major labels. I did this last night. I'm going to talk about this in a second in the features, but I did a live stream last night talking about legal issues and lawsuits going on right now, and one that's about to happen that needs to happen, and I'll talk about that. I'm going to go apeshit a little later on, but if you missed the stream last night, but so yeah, there's 3 major labels now, and they basically own every other label. And most of the record labels, including the metal record labels, a lot of them fall under another company. And what happens is IP is very valuable. And a lot of happens, Ghost Cult's former lawyer, we had legal representation at one time, and they work at one of the upper echelon record labels as an attorney. And they're great at their job. They get paid extremely well. And we had many discussions about this topic. And I can't tell you, this person uncovered the waste and the money spent by these labels, their particular label, and I'm sure it's the same everywhere else. This is how much we're spending on chasing these copyright strikes. This is how much we're chasing on these takedown notices. This is how much person hours is getting wasted when we have tons of other projects to take care of. And this is not productive in any way, shape, or form. And they were like, yeah, thanks for all your hard work and researching. And we're not going to do any of that. We're going to continue to chase people for copyrights. Hey, Death Rattle, if you're still watching, hit me up in a DM, either at Ghost Cult Mag on Instagram or at Ghost Cult Keefe, and we'll do a consulting call. I'll jump on a call with you and talk about stuff. Because, I've been a fan of your band since I lived in Boston, as I said. And I'm digging what you guys are doing now. So, yeah, man, this is going to be maybe I will do a live stream on this next week. I have a few topics going on. If you've got a topic you'd like to hear me rattle on about, usually well-researched and thoughtful, but sometimes just fucking angry, because I'm me. I'm heavily medicated. Just let me know. So, yeah, all right. Yes, definitely oppressing the masses. That's needed. That's needed right now. So let's jump into the features. Thanks for tolerating that. We did an album premiere today, an EP premiere, the comeback record from Western Canada's Doll. Doll was a super buzzworthy indie rock, hard rock band about 10 years ago. And their actual last record was 12 or 13 years ago was their last full length. And Better Days, Different Times. There's a new EP coming out tomorrow. Not only is it ripping, because I listened to the whole thing, we premiered the album today. A lot of people shared it and checked it out. Even if it's not for you, people checked it out and gave nice feedback. And their fans and the band shared the shit out of it, which, honestly, a lot of bands, and Death Rattle, is a band on a label, and they're putting out music and touring and all the things. And just, it's like, a lot of bands, a lot of labels, a lot of publicists feel like it's not their job to share the stuff. But I'm like, you should share every review, even bad reviews. Doll is pretty killer. And what they did, one thing on this thing that really took me by surprise, I love covers. And sometimes a cover that's like a straight up cover is like, I didn't really need this exact reproduction of the song I already love. But Doll did the most famous guitar riff song of all time. What do you think it is? Drum roll, Smoke on the Water. but they did it as like a sludge metal song, like slow and heavy, like doom metal, Smoke on the Water. Really surprising. Fantano also, yeah. Fantano is in our ad network. I know, like I would like to work with him, or I know he's getting completely decimated by people. His followers are fucking toxic as fuck. I mean, it's probably contributes to a lot of his traffic, is people just fucking hating on him every day. This record's a classic and it's low too. And it's like, we don't do shit like that at Ghost Cult. We do about 600 album reviews a year. We've done like 1,300 the last 2 or 3 years combined, or maybe even more than that, actually. Probably closer to 2,000 reviews the last 3 or 4 years. Feral Claw is here. What up? Rips Across, Gee's back. Dylan Scott is here. Maddox, George Trujillo, 10 Bears. Thank you for all being here. Yeah, man, Fantano. You can't even play a sample of a song. It used to be like you could get away with like 5 seconds, 6 seconds. This happens all the time. I didn't actually realize y'all were watching on TikTok. Whenever I did a news story or a post or this day in metal, blah, 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 which, by the way, I fucking invented. And this day in metal, no disrespect, they're in our, again, a partner brother website of ours, but like they made that their whole identity. It's kind of like Pantera taking, what's the song on Injustice for All? Frayed Ends of Sanity as their entire personality. One little riff of a Metallica song. And I love Pantera. I'm not dissing or punching down, but like, okay, cool. And we had a whole bunch of copyright strikes on TikTok. TikTok, that was the first company to really, really get it right with the music. So like, what the fuck? But anyway, so Doll, go check this band out. And then I did a live stream last night, and Lawsuits for All. I'm going to not do as deep a dive today as I did last night. You can go and watch this when you're done watching us. Brave Next Door is passing by. What up? What up? Ken Francis. We did a whole live stream last night on this, but I'll touch on it at the top of the regular news, because it's worth talking about in front of all of y'all. But yeah, there's a lot of crazy shit going on. And I never thought I would have Jane's Addiction, Metallica, and Pixel Grip in the same photo, but here we are. Living our best life. Interviews this week at Ghost Cult. This is the feature section. We have an exclusive interview with Chris Goss of Masters of Reality, also a legendary record producer. Just Me, this is probably one for you. If you love stoner metal, psychedelic rock, Queens of the Stone Age, so many bands this guy worked with. He has a new album out, The Archer, from Masters of Reality, his band, and our own Tom Osmond interviewed him. I'm really proud of this one because this was a hard get. He was very selective about choosing websites to work with, and he went with us as one of them. So I'm very humbled by this. And it's a really great, interesting, he really goes deep, deep, deep into his processes, how he makes a record, how he records guitars. Definitely valuable to listen to, even if you're not familiar with his work or a fan, but you should be. Also got to run my review with Kevin Mockton of Chapang, they call them self-described immigrant grindcore from Queens by way of Nepal. I go so far back with this dude because he was in a different death metal band at one point. And in 2015, we sponsored a compilation and a series of relief concerts for the 2 earthquakes that happened a week apart in Nepal that decimated the country. So he remembered me from that. We had a really cool talk. Their new album, Japa, is out now on Relapse Records. They are one of the, I'd say, crown jewel bands of Relapse Records currently. I've seen them live. They're so killer. They got a record release party out and some touring coming up. So check that out. Also, just a reminder, some lesser-known bands that we've interviewed recently in the company is Serpents is out with their new record now, sort of Appalachian black metal, not quite folky, but more like sludgy black metal doom. Also, if you're a guitar nerd, we interviewed Joe Stump. My man Don DeLamont interviewed him. Joe Stump's Tower of Babel is out now. Guys, brilliant. If you know the work of Alcatraz, you're a heavy metal. Yeah, George is here. Yeah, bro. In the Company of Serpents is sick. I got to interview them a while back for their last record, so it was good to pass the baton to somebody else to get a fresh take on bands. I know there's websites where they just hit the same guy over and over. Like, I've interviewed Max Cavalera more than any other artist in my career, like almost 20 years as a journalist. And I try to like make it different for him every time. And I will eventually pass it to someone else to talk to him. But like, I don't want him to get bored of my face and tired of hearing from me. And we have a really good rapport in person and over Zoom. And I'm grateful to him and Gloria. Just a reminder, because I don't have enough to do, I am the co-host of the Glacially Musical podcast, Beer Metal and Swearing. We are working our way through a very non-metal series. One last episode to go, 2 more to go with Beastie Boys. Brand new one tomorrow, another one next week, and then I promise you it's all metal the rest of the year. We just needed to kind of like pull out the cartridge, blow in the cartridge, put it back in the ColecoVision or the Gamecast, and just like reset ourselves with a different thing. But thanks to whoever's watching on YouTube and Twitch. We will follow you back. We're trying to get to that 6,000 number on YouTube. Give us a sub if you're new. Most people that see our stuff are strangers that don't know us, but I think if they watched our show, they might dig it, So thank you. Also, Mark safe from being cheated on at a Coldplay concert. If you don't know this story, this is dominating social media right now. What a fucking bunch of dummies. First of all, your first mistake was going to Coldplay. Your second mistake is if you're a CEO of a company, don't fuck the head of HR. It's absolutely verboten in the corporate world. Holy shit. What a bunch of boneheads. Anyway, if you're a CEO and you have millions of dollars and you're in a fucking luxury box, you might end up on camera. Just a fucking thought. And he hid. He ducked down and hid like they wouldn't know it was him. What a putz. And he's mad about the memes, apparently, which is fucking epic. All right, that's all the announcements and the features. Now it's on to the news rundown. And we always start with metal festivals. We just got confirmed Ghost Cult for the 13th year in a row out of 13 years as a company is covering Bloodstock Open Air, Trivium, Machine Head, Gojira, Emperor, Ministry, Mastodon, Lacuna Coil, Fear Factory, Lord of the Lost, Black Dahlia Murder, Fair Swan, so is a new record. One of the last shows ever for Orange Goblin, Flotsam and Jetsam, my favorites, August Burns Red, Warbringer, Cataclysm, Me and That Man, Obituary, Static X, so many killer bands. Nail Bomb, speaking of Max Cavalera, super stoked. Look out for this coverage coming in August. Joey Marquez is here. What up, Joey? A lot of news about the Back to the Beginning still leaking out, so we'll just continue to kind of highlight it. Back to the Beginning is officially the most money-makingest charity concert in history. That includes Fire Aid. That includes Farm Aid. That includes Live Aid. $190 million, I think, is the actual complete total from all purchases. And obviously some profits were made and, merch has to get broken even on to even make it and things like that. But I know people were very cynical about this thing, but, I got to give it up to Sharon. This thing was really mostly well thought out, well run for the most part. And she pulled it off. And if this is the last thing that she ever does in her entire life, credit to her. Uber, stop texting me about the shitty service I had today. Anyway, just another note about this Ozzy thing. This is the actual cake that Geezer came back out on stage and gave to Ozzy. People did not see this because the broadcast cut away. I'm not, Ozzy the final. Cool. Not sure what's going on here, but he apparently was overcome with joy about the cake. He loves Geezer, man. He loves Geezer. And, they continue to work together even after, Sabbath was done with Ozzy for a long time. 70 Tons of Metal, as we mentioned, has moved locations. They continue to announce bands. Stay tuned to all their socials. And I have personally never been on 70 Tons of Metal, but maybe one of the next ones will be the one. We'll see. But yeah, stay tuned to their socials because they're actually releasing bands for the first time ever this early, which I'm excited about. I think it's really cool. They listened to their audience was mad at the lateness of announcing the bands and people who purchased cabins already, thousands and thousands of dollars and travel plans and all these things, and then not to know who's on the cruise until the cruise is happening. Yikes. Yikes on Bikes. Devo and Bratmobile are playing here in San Francisco this weekend as part of Mosswood Meltdown in Oakland. Oakland, son. Just a reminder, Release Fest Athens continues to roll out shows through all of June and July. We've run some coverage of this already. There's basically a series of concerts that make up the festival instead of one festival weekend. We just ran our coverage of Idols, and more to come. Very cool. Incarceration Fest is taking place this weekend. We will sadly not be covering it after all because my correspondent is ill and cannot go. But looks like a banger. Slipknot is playing at this, as well as Manson, Death Punch, Lamb of God, Beartooth, I Prevail, Killswitch, Drain, Acid Bath, Dillinger Escape Plan, Yo, Dayseeker, Kubla Khan, Punchy, 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 Punchy. In This Moment, Architects, Nothing More, Bill Murray. A lot of cool bands. Zachary Mills 420 is here. What is up? Dimebag Daryl Summers is here. What's up, Daryl Summers? This looks pretty cool. SEMA is the annual heavy machinery festival that takes, it's kind of like a convention that they have now turned into a music event. Last year, I think if you remember, that Metallica put out, collaborated with like a heavy, like a fucking forklift or something company to make like a Metallica branded forklift. So I appreciate this, convention for trying to think out of the box. So now they've graduated to a full concert, and there will be appearances by Queens of the Stone Age, the Black Crowes, and Neon Trees. And I believe that is in the Convention Center in Las Vegas, down by the Marriott that I like very much at the end of the train line. I believe I have that correct. I believe it. Also coming up in August, Summer Gloom, taking place in Cambridge, Massachusetts, or Somerville, probably, next to Cambridge. Sumac, Body Void, The Keening, Mourn, Chipang, Moths, Cowardice, Slow Quit, Voodoo Sister, Guts. These are a lot of bands we've interviewed here at Ghost Cult, so very killer. Over 3 days at the Crystal Ballroom. Fire in the Mountains is coming up soon with Rajuna. Big Rajuna news coming soon. Stay tuned to Ghost Cult. Hint, hint, tease, tease. Also, looking ahead to 2026, the Vegas Unalive Fest. Wild. Taking place Friday and Saturday, March 20th and 21st, 2026. Headlined by Decrepit Birth, with friends to Ghost Cult, Casket Robbery, Grave Huffer, Claustrophobia, Pessimist, Pap Smear, Trip to the Morgue, and Anubis, and so many others. Such a good festival for extreme metal and a little bit of stoner doom and sludge. All right, that's all the festivals this week. Let's do all the concerts, and there's quite a bunch. Nine Inch Nails continues the Peel It Back tour. Again, if you're a big Nine Inch Nails fan, I highly recommend to go see this. Trent has been talking in the press. I know there's a new album coming. We have some other Nine Inch Nails news coming up in the show later, but he has said in the future, as he gets older, he doesn't want to be on tour as much. So I think this is, pre a new album, this is a really great opportunity to kind of hear the deep cuts and the old school jams that you may not hear when he has a new album he wants to perform. Pantera kicked off their new headline tour with Amon Amarth, with support coming from King Parrot, and on other dates, Snafu, Shock Narcotic, and others. A bunch of housecore metal bands from Phil's label Housecore Records. Apparently, at the very first show, Pantera pulled out some deep cuts they hadn't been playing. So for the people that were saying the set lists are a little boring, at least now they are leaning into some other songs and not just playing the hits. So that's really cool. King Diamond, we told you last week he had to miss a bunch of shows with strep throat. He recovered and continued to tour. So King is back on his feet. We are anxiously awaiting new music from King Diamond and Merciful Fate. We told you about this is coming up soon this weekend. It was last weekend, the Adam Ramey Fest, which apparently raised a lot of money for his family. But in addition to this festival, they are now saying the Dropout Kings are going to put out a new record with Adam's final work on it. No news yet if the band is going to continue, but I thought this was worth showing and sharing one more time. Deftones, a lot of Deftones news we've been talking about the last few weeks. They announced a UK and EU tour. Tickets go on sale Friday. opening support from Denzel Curry and Drug Church. More Deftones news coming soon. Pre-orders are live for their new album right now. This weekend, Prong, 31 Years of Cleansing, is taking place at Amityville Music Hall. Cleansing in its entirety, I think the first time ever, and their only North American show this year. Hoping against hope that Prong gets added to some bigger tours to promote their next record. Dark Angel has announced their first headline tour of America in like 25 years. This is rad. I don't know why I have the poster on here twice, but Extinction Level event with direct support on different dates coming from Sacred Reich, Hyrax, Void, Interceptor, Violence, and more. Midnight. I mean, that's pretty wild. I'm into it. This show, I believe, is coming to Berkeley, so I might have to go check that out in mid-October. Love me some Dark Angel. I'm hype on this new Dark Angel record. Pre-orders are live now for that record. Kuchikichi Wolf, I hope I said that correctly. Cool name on Instagram is Popeye. Hello, hello. In this moment, we told you about this tour getting announced last week. Zoe Larson is here. Hi, Zoe. Hell Hath No Fury tour with special guests. Wargasm, again, the UK Wargasm, not the Boston Wargasm. Kat Von D, and the Pretty Wild, who we brought you some news about last week. The Nocturnal Affair is kicking off their tour next week of Europe, opening for Wednesday 13 on some dates and Drowning Pool on others. We have an interview coming up with Brandon from the Nocturnal Affair if you like some gothy heavy metal rock. Just a reminder, this weekend is the last few dates of the Ice Giant tour across the US and the Midwest and Canada. Ice Giant, Malfest, and Celestial Wizard, who have a new album out. Also, Riff Haven has passed by. What up, Riff Haven? And Dead Horse Set Theory is here. Hello, hello, hello. The Pussifer shows that are taking place in August sold out in a millisecond. But we are looking forward to hearing about this and not seeing any video because Maynard is Maynard. Maynard's going to Maynard. Hopefully we'll get a new single in the fall. It's usually the Pussifer plan. All right. So not Arctica, I mentioned this. These tickets are on sale now for a handful of dates in the U.S. and North America. It's going to be harder and harder for your bands to come into the States and harder for bands to go to Europe. So do what you can and see your bands when they come and don't miss them. Zoth, which is a killer progressive death metal band from Long Island, has a tour booked for September. I have an interview coming up with this band also. Very cool. I'm a big fan of their last album. This tour is called the Exogalactic Actuality 2025 tour. Their last album from late 23 was Exogalactic. Check it out. Yo, US Air Guitar, sponsored by Standard Deviant Brewing, literally right down the block from my house, is coming to San Francisco next week for the National Finals. I am hoping to meet up with some air guitar legends and hang out with them and maybe even take this in if I'm home, but I probably won't be. But I am definitely supporting this. Maybe we should sponsor it sometime. US Air Guitar's on The Ocho on ESPN News. And it's wild. These people are far more athletic than I am with a little bit of air guitaring that I do at karaoke when I'm hosting. Boy Harsher, one of my favorite bands. I've talked a lot about the Portola Fest, which is really an electronic music fest here in San Francisco. They have announced a short tour supporting that Portola appearance. September in Philadelphia, San Francisco for Portola a few days later, Austin at Levitation Fest, and Miami at 3 Points Fest. Hopefully some new Boy Harsher music at some point in the fall or next year. Blood Incantation is currently on tour with direct support from a cadre of different bands on different dates. Steve Roach, Cynic, Pallbearer, and more. I believe Ghost Cult is covering this tour in St. Louis next week. Scooter is not here. This is another similar vein of Boy Harsher. Youth Code, King Yosef, Street Sex, and Insula Iscariot, the Industrial Worship Tour, is kicking off in less than a month, and it looks rad. Not sure if it's coming here, but maybe it is. I might want to check it out. Youth Code had some issues, and their new album's really solid to good, and they got over their stuff. Eric Kaplan is passing by. Riff Haven's passed by. Subhumans, this is just one date, but they booked a whole West Coast tour, the classic UK band. They continue to say that maybe this tour is the last tour. I don't know, with support from 1876. Pretty cool band. Great American Music Hall, also nearby, walking distance from my house, a long walk. Blacktop Mojo is wrapping up their leg 2 of their Texas Tailgate tour in Topeka. There's acid in the red cups of punch. That was mine. If you get that reference, you're a friend of mine. So Blacktop Mojo, big fan of theirs. Fear Factory kicks off their European tour this weekend. 30 years of demanufacture at a bunch of festivals like Tool Rock, Moz Hell Open Air, headline shows at Legend Club, the Majestic. August sees them playing Vakken Open Air, Poland Rock, Leyendas del Rock Festival in Spain, Brutal Assault in a Fortress in Czech Republic, Helsinki Metal Fest, Bloodstock Open Air, we'll be covering that, Manchester at Academy 2, and a bunch more. Dynamo Metal Fest we covered last year, maybe we'll cover it again, Moto Culture Fest this year, and then they hit America in September, so really excited for the Fear Factory upcoming demanufactured tour. Gabe from Andy Mosbeast is here. Hello, Gabe, how are you? I hope you're well. I am speed running the show tonight, and I've had a long day, but I'm going to make the best of it. Because that's what I do. That's what heroes do, if you get that reference. All right. Andri, I don't know if you guys remember the podcast interview that I did with the Greek heavy metal singer Andri. I don't know what's going on in this photo with this Viking helmet encrusted with shit, but it looks fucking awesome. Andri is an incredible rock singer in the vein of Doro or Lita Ford, and she is going to be the special guest to Yngwie Malmsteen starting in a week and a half. Good luck to you on that tour. Yngwie Malmsteen launched a protein powder for some reason. It never struck me as a particular muscly or fit person. I don't like donuts, if you know that reference, you're awesome, but kind of fuck that guy also. But surprise and happy for my friend Andri here. Just a reminder, if you're in Europe especially, see Orange Goblin right now because they are going away. They announced another smattering of headline shows after their festival run's done this summer. So Westhill Fest has Orange Goblin. They are gone for good. On the right-hand side of this photo is Harry Osborne, who I interviewed recently from Orange Goblin for his project Noise Picker, which you should check out. Blackbriar has announced a big European tour kicking off in October, starting in the home birthplace of Ghost Cult magazine, which was actually Tilburg, the Netherlands, home of Roadburn, and going all through Europe and out to Istanbul, Turkey. Forever Still will be providing direct support. This just looks rad. This is coming up as a one-off. Widowmaker Brewing, if you're not familiar, is in Braintree, Massachusetts, just south of Boston, where I used to live. And they have metal shows, especially stoner, doom, and sludge, and hardcore. So they have Kind and Duel. Duel is an incredible band. I've covered them a whole bunch of times and interviewed them, and Kind is pretty badass also. So pretty damn good. Just a reminder, the Uptown Rumble is taking place in the Bronx Museum of Bronx History in my hometown of the Bronx, New York, with a bunch of New York classic rock, metal, and hardcore legends as part of the exhibition. If you're in the New York City area, take the train up to the Bronx, take that D train, and go to the museum. And just a reminder, we're, again, if you feel like throwing us a tip, I appreciate it. Courier Newsroom has passed by. Thank you. Appreciate you. Feel free to bless us with a tip. Again, super chat, super thanks. And we are going to be launching, I believe, very soon, memberships on YouTube. So if people want to subscribe monthly, I will do private live streams, like an extra one a week, just for the members. So we're just going to build that up slowly and see where it goes. And just a reminder, we have a brand new affiliate partner, and that is Fable Beard Co. And I talked all about it last week. And I've been traveling, so and it's been hot as fuck, except in San Francisco where I haven't been. So I've needed my Fable Beard deodorant and my awesome Fable Beard mist scent. I'm not a big cologne guy. I never have been. but this stuff smells amazing. They have every scent they have in a deodorant or a beard balm mostly. And it's all, if you're a geek, all their characters are built on like DMs and Dungeons and Dragons characters, the bard, the knight, the paladin, the warrior, the gremlin, the ghoul, it's killer, man. I love this company, and if you check out our link in the description, we get credits that I can use to get more stuff. So that's really cool. It's one of the few really cool affiliate partners we have, and I just feel like this is a great company that uses all natural ingredients, and I can't really get enough of their stuff. So thank you very much, and check them out. If you're a beardo like me, you might need this stuff. And just a reminder, we're part of the Lamb Goat Media Network. Dillinger Compound was talking about Fantano. He is part of the Lamb Goat Media Network, along with Metal Insider, Ghost Cult, of course, Lamb Goat, This Day in Metal, New Metal Agenda. So if you have, when you see advertising on our website, that's from Lamb Goat. Hey, Morgan, what's up? One of my favorites, Morgan. And also, you're watching this except for y'all on TikTok. Everybody's watching this through the greatness of StreamYard. If you sign up with our link in the description, you get $10 off your sign up, and we get $10 off our next bill. So it's a Dutch door action. Go check it out. We're on Twitch. Thanks for following and watching. Looks like we're amassing quite a nice following over there. Same thing with YouTube tonight. Thank you so much for being here. We're on all the socials. People are sick of social media. Are you sick of social media? I'm kind of sick of social media, and I work in this shit. So I don't know. We'll see where it all goes. That's all the festivals and concerts, and now it's time for the rest of the news. And we're going to blast through this, and I'm going to peace out. Back in the day, we waited in a literal line to buy concert tickets. Who remembers? Raise a hand if you remember buying tickets in person. I sure do. I miss that shit. The story of the week that has broken my brain and most likely the next major lawsuit. Travis Scott, the rap superstar, one of the biggest stars in the world, stole a whole song off the brand new Pixel Grip album. It's not even a month old, Precipitude. And the band found out by listening to the new Travis Scott record, Jack Boys 2. And then they tweeted about it, and they were like, we are still a band that's making music. We just put a new record out. We are DIY and fiercely independent, and maybe hated on because we're very political, which is fine. That's their personality as a band, and I support that. But, why are you going to, not pay them, not clear the sample? And they didn't just sample the song. They stole the song without the stems. They just sampled the whole fucking song underneath the track, poorly. It sounds hot because they're a great, gifted band, but, this shit broke my brain. Then the producer, who's the same guy who produced Not Like Us for Kendrick, produced this whole record, or is one of the many producers on the record, apparently, and he took the song and he was like, oh yeah, we'll be reaching out to get the clearance on the sample. Bro, you get the clearance on the sample before. Have we learned nothing from White Zombie? That was 32 years ago. They almost went under as a band because the label was like, yo, we can't pay all these fucking rights for these samples. And when they did Astro Creep 2000, Rob was like, I just set up yours, baby, because they couldn't afford the sample. They didn't want to have to pay to get it. So that's some shit. If I'm not a lawyer, I cannot give legal advice, and I'm going to try to interview some lawyers to talk about it, but this seems to me fucking stupid. This just seems to me wildly inappropriate and stupid. So just, oh my God. If I were them, I would sue the fuck out of Travis Scott or settle for a lot of money because there's nothing to clear. They stole it, and the album has millions upon millions of streams already. Millions upon millions. I think Pixel Grip's entire discography on Spotify, just for an example, has 132,000 lifetime streams. Travis Scott doesn't have a song with less than 3 million streams, ever. What the fuck? Anyway, check out Pixel Grip. They rule. When I posted the news story about it, I used their song that was stolen. So hopefully they get a micro penny from that. Speaking of lawsuits, Jane's Addiction is suing each other. The remaining members of Jane's Addiction outside of Perry Farrell sued him for $10 million and made seem like pretty reasonable claims about him. And then he sued them back in not a countersuit, apparently, but a completely different lawsuit he was preparing. Oh my god, what the fuck? Seems like Jane's Addiction's never coming back, but I wonder if they tried to sue Perry not just for the financial recompense, but also to maybe get a new singer and try to continue to be Jane's Addiction. I think Perry owns the name, so it'd probably be challenging. This beautiful photo is from Aftershock and shot by my dear friend Meg Loyal, who hopefully will come back to us someday and do some shows. But this is a killer photo, and she's a genius talent. And then, yeah, we haven't had much Metallica talk lately, have we? Metallica had to send a takedown notice to the Department of Defense for using Enter Sandman in a public video touting their drone program. Forget about the fact that, without going fucking AWOL on this podcast and talking about my political beliefs, you have to know that the most popular song from the most popular band in the entire world is going to sue you over a song. It's not even about the politics. There is a great video where they were like, just insert Proud to Be an American by Lee Greenwood and everything. Fuck that guy and everything he's about. But if you really love America, you would make a better song, honestly. But what a bunch of dillholes. As I'm not picking on the administration or drunk-ass Pete Hegseth or this incompetent, fascist regime we're under. I'll leave all that out for another time, but dumb. How are you going to take Metallica's song and think you're not going to get away with it? Fucking dummies. Unbelievable. This is the world we live in. So anyway, Metallica is a very litigious band, and even sometimes when they get it wrong, they continue to take a beating historically about Napster, but Lars was right. I'll do a whole podcast on that eventually about how Lars was right. But suing chasing after the fans to threaten them with imprisonment and fines, that sucks. Interstellar Smoke is here. What up, what up, what up? So yeah, I don't know, Metallica. Don't fuck with them. They like to sue. Their lawyers are very lawsuit happy. Remember when they sued the cover band and then Lars found out about it and he was like, no, dude, don't sue the cover band. That's cool. All right. Ghost is going to be on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon next week. This is following in the footsteps of Not Loose and Spirit Box. Fallon, Kimmel, Conan O'Brien, when he had a show, he always repped the metal bands. And we did just get the news right before deadline here when I had to go live that Stephen Colbert is going off the air permanently, which to me kind of sucks. I feel really bad. More Deftones news. Beside that tour they booked, pre-orders are live now. They dropped a music video for the single they dropped last week, My Mind is a Mountain. I watched it. It was dope. They were teasing the video. Actually, I was really surprised they didn't put the video out at the same time as the single. That's usually the play for bands, but a pretty quick run-up. We're going to have a new Deftones record in a month. Twice the previous album of the year by Ghost Cult. One of the best interviews I ever did. We did like a podcast review of our own list, and my number one writer in the UK, Gary Alcock, was like, what do you think about the new Deftones? And he was like, no comment, mate. My terrible English accent, he sounds much cooler than I do. He had no comment about Deftones, not a fan. Nine Inch Nails dropped a new song today from their upcoming Tron Ares soundtrack. As Alive as You Need Me to Be is out now. The soundtrack comes out on 9/19. My birthday is 2 months from today. Just hint, hint, hint. But yeah, Tron Ares, I'm looking forward to seeing. It must be when the movie is coming out or right before it. So I'm very excited about this. This is the first soundtrack ever of all the awards and Oscars and Academy Awards and Grammys. Not so much the Grammys, but all the awards that Trent has won and Atticus and Trent have won as composers. This is the first soundtrack that will actually have Nine Inch Nails on it that is coming out. They also have a video game soundtrack we've talked about in the news before. Page for Yorks in Black is a New Jersey metal project. You know Dan Lorenzo from his work in Hades and a bunch of other projects. And of course, right next to him is my man, Johnny Kelly from Typo Negative, Sun Don't Shine, Quiet Riot, 100 Danzig, 100 bands. Their new album is coming out soon. Home. I have listened to it. It's rad. I have an interview coming out with Dan. It's kind of weird. I've never gotten an interview Dan until now, but I was a huge fan of Hades in high school. Hades and Whiplash, these New Jersey metal bands along with Overkill that just fucking, flip the script and help put East Coast metal on the map along with the hardcore bands and Anthrax. But anyway, check that record out. This is a guitar rig from Kirk Winstein of Down. Down is currently recording their upcoming new album. I know Corrosion of Conformity is also in the studio, also in New Orleans. Kirk Winston was also just wrapping up work on the Sun Don't Shine album. Their EP is coming out soon. So I kind of plugged 3 bands at once with this one photo. Pretty cool. Christopher Smith is here. What up, what up? In this moment, in addition to that tour I talked about before, dropped a new single, teaming up with Kim Dracula, named for a Deftones song. Pretty amazing. In this moment, new album coming soon on their new record deal with Better Noise Music, same label as Five Finger Death Punch, Fire from the Gods, etc., etc. Cold Slither, From My Childhood to Reality. I've talked about this project. They have announced a signing at Comic-Con in costume. These are prominent members of the metal world from legit death metal bands and death metal greatness, especially Matt Harvey of Exhumed and Gus Rios of Left to Die and a bunch of other bands. And they've written this incredible heavy metal, death metal, and thrash metal album as Cold Slither, the band from the G.I. Joe cartoons in the 80s. And now they're going to go on tour. They have this album coming out. They're going to do a signing. It's sick. I'm so into it. And you'll be looking out for my interview with Gus Rios on Monday about this album. And as Comic-Con is upon us, we're going to get a whole bunch of toys and activations and band things. Super 7 here showing the Kaiju warning. I think they're going to be dropping some Godzilla -1 merch this weekend. Next weekend when Comic-Con happens in San Diego, so very excited about it. I have never been to San Diego Comic-Con. It just seems now like maybe it's too big for me to go to. Keith Wallen, who is the rhythm guitarist of Breaking Benjamin, put out a new solo single, I'm With You. I don't know if you know Keith, not to be confused with Morgan Wallen, who's a complete dipshit, piece of shit guy, but Keith Wallen, much less successful and famous, because he plays in a somewhat metal and hard rock band, is kind of like a ghostwriter for a lot of rock and metal bands that people don't really realize. So his solo stuff is actually really good. He sings, he plays guitar, he does all the production. I'm into it. Speaking of Comic-Con, Alan Robert of Life of Agony, you know that he has the incredible Beauty of Horror adult coloring series. One of his comic books is being optioned for a movie on Netflix directed by Sam Raimi, one of the great directors of our time. There's a NECA, or Nika, if you say it that way, Guliana doll coming out. And Alan is also probably going to be, I know Life of Agony is busy, and he's busy with a lot of things, but Alan usually makes the circuit of all the Comic-Cons and conventions and horror cons. So I'm into it. I've been very lucky to get Alan's recent book last year, and he's got a bunch already coming out this year. And they're all New York Times bestsellers for their genre, which is incredible. Church Road Records, man. Let's talk about this for a second. One of my favorite record labels. I want to get the press release so I have it accurate here. But Church Road Records is an underground record label in the UK. It is actually led by the husband and wife team that do Employed to Serve. I don't know if you know that band, but it is a fucking great, fucking absolutely banger, fucking an absolute banger label. Like everything they do rules, and I don't really say that often about things, but I'm just trying to find the note here because I wanted to read the press release a little bit. Hold on, sorry. They have been signing bands at a huge clip, so I just want to make sure I don't have my facts wrong. It's Mastiff, who we also interviewed recently. So Mastiff signed. I can't quite find the press release, but if you go to their socials, it's there. Their last record is one of our top 20 of the year 2 years ago. This next one will undoubtedly top it. I'm a big believer in this band and that label. So get hype if you love sludgy underground metal. I made Twitter. I made Facebook. I made Apple. That's cute. I made Jimi Hendrix. How awesome is this meme? I can't take credit for it, but it's fucking rad. I wish I could. This means we're almost to the end of the show. It's time for New Music Friday. We're down to the last few minutes of the show, everybody. So we're going to just quickly bang through all the new albums out, and then I'm going to do the mailbag. Here is the new albums coming out this week. July is coming to a close soon, but it has been a hella good month for new metal music. Kicking things off with, I'm going to do the band album title, record label if they have one, genre. So follow along. 1, 2, 3. Welcome to The Church is Suicidal. Bail, named for a demon. The Fine Line Between Heaven and Here. Road to Masochist Records for some black and post metal. Belonging, Hollow Cells on Deperterid Records. Doomy Hard Rock. Blind Equation of Funeral in Purgatory is the album on Prosthetic Records, a great Prosthetic Records for some goth metal, death, doom, cyber grind. Clairvoyance, Chasm of Immurement on Carbonized Records, usually a death metal label. Definitely death metal for this. Darko, the killer punk rock band. Canvas, Thousand Island Records, Lockjaw Records for some progressive punk. Darren Malakian's Scars on Broadway, new album, Addicted to Violence. We are not getting a new System of a Down record, but this is the next best thing. Check out our review on the site right now. DePhosphorus, Planetokonos, Self-Made God Records for some grindcore. Drought, Souvenir, Iodine Records for some post-hardcore. Eternal Darkness, self-titled on Pulverized Records for some death doom. Hypomaniac Daydream, also reviewed at Ghost Cult. Eternal Darkness for some solo death doom synth craziness on Pulverized. On Fiat Productions, you were here earlier. Margarita Witch Cult, great name. Strung Out in Hell on Heavy Psych Sounds, one of my favorite labels for some doom metal. Mawiza Ol on Season of Mist for indigenous groove metal. Nefarious, Addicted to Power on Relentless Metal Records for some heavy thrash metal. And Nefarious is a super group of thrash metal legends. Their album release show is this weekend as well here in San Francisco. Phantom Spell, Heather and Hearth on Cruz del Sur music for some prog and new wave of British heavy metal. Ramunda, The Walls Are Crumbling Down on Frontiers SRL heavy metal. Recorruptor, Sorrow Will Drown Us All on Time to Kill Records from some Michigan ass death metal. And that is all the new music coming out this week. I'm going to put myself back in, and we're going to do a real quickie here for the mailbag because I'm super pumped on this stuff, right? So, the mailbag this week is super fun. So I was out of town. I picked up a record that I unboxed on the Glacially Musical podcast that you will see tomorrow. But I went to my favorite comic shop in the Bay Area, which is Waterfront Comics in Sassoon City. Shout out to John, who's been a big fan of Ghost Cult and a big supporter of mine. And we are of him. He's just a great, wonderful dude. And so I'm going to double team this thing. I want to just show off some stuff. First of all, he hooked me up yet again. Earlier in the year, you saw me mention to him that mention his store and him when he gave me the first 2 Ghost comics, and now I have issue 3, Sister Imperator, as you can see with the baby bump and the gun, and 2 little ghostling kids running up to her. I hope she's going to plug them both in the head with her piece, with her Widowmaker. And then issue 4. Obviously, 1 and 2 sold out immediately, and 3 and 4 are a little more plentiful. But I was really grateful. He held these for me to give. He gave them to me. I wanted to pay, and he would, he just insisted. And I'm grateful that he did that. And then I bought a couple of things because he was so kind. This is the new series from Robert Kirkman and Chris Samney, The Firepower. This was recommended to me by Ghost Cult co-owner Omar Cordy. And I'm super excited. I'm going to take this with me on my next leg of travel tonight. And then I saw this and I had to have it. And my sound. Sorry, guys. Give me one more second. Oh, Lord. Won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz? Give me one more second. Hold on. Oh, well, we're just lost the screen. All right. Well, I will do a separate unboxing video where I show the thing, but what I was going to unbox is show the new Archie, Jay and Silent Bob comic book. And they have like 7 variant covers. And no one can see this except you guys on TikTok. So sorry about this for the last couple of minutes of the show with no video, but oh well, we're fucked. And then also, I got sent in the mail. I'm working on a big roundup of book reviews, but I got sent this. You guys have seen me in this space before talk about the wine and metal magazine Blood of Gods. Well, they have collected their multi-annual Blood of Gods book, like little magazines, into Blood of Gods, the trade paperback, Metal, Mayhem, and Wine. And I am eventually going to interview the artist, and I'm going to interview them. Maybe I'll have to bring this back in next week to talk about it. But here's the Blood of Gods book. Super cool. And on that fumble start ending, I guess the show is over. Thanks for watching. You could spend your time anywhere else, but you spent it with me, and I'm thankful. And sorry about the snafu at the end there, but if you made it through like an hour of this, that was a pretty good show. So thanks for the last 6 minutes. As I say every week at this juncture of the show, check out ghostcultmag.com. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. Help us out. Help us break our numbers and get actual list following going, because nobody else wants to help do this thing. The networks are against us. And as I say every week at this juncture of the show, it's a tough time in the world. So take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and stay as metal as humanly possible. I can try to dance a jig on the way out. Let's see if the music happens. Boom. It did work. All right. The jig music is on. I'll dance a little for the TikTokers, TikTok dance guy. And I'll see you guys next week. Peace.